Okay, we're doing quotes again from my book, The Holy Grail of Wisdom Quotes. Nicholas Cusa is an old-time cardinal. Just one nice quote. He says, "To see the truth with the eye of the mind is a joy. The older a man grows, the greater this pleasure affords him. As love is the life of the heart, quest for truth is the life of the mind." So what's the point of that? Basically, as you get old, you enjoy reading and thinking. And that's one of the nice things about it, too, of being a writer. It's one of the few things you get better at as you get old. You know, a young guy up until about age 35 is going to dominate in sports. But an old guy can keep on getting better at writing in his 50s, 60s, and 70s, even his 80s. Okay, Artie Lang was a psychiatrist. He said, "Human beings have so brutalized themselves, have become so banal and stultified that they are unaware of their own debasement." Yeah, and he's got a good point. And I like the Theodore Dalrymple quote that goes with it. "The British are barbarians, camped out in the relics of an older and superior civilization to whose beauties they are oblivious." Because, you talk to a young guy, and they'll think they're clever, making fun of religion and stuff, and thinking they can do whatever they want. But the problem they don't understand is once you lose religion, you go down into the garbage can. If you look at the greatest composers of all time, who are they? They're like religious guys, like Bach and Handel, okay? Mozart, Beethoven. That old Christian stuff generates great music. Vivaldi, all right? You look at the best writers. What are they? They're guys who are religious. Fyodor Dostoevsky, Charles Dickens, Victor Hugo, Henry Sienkiewicz, Quo Vadis, okay? That's where it comes from. You can't get around that, okay? You look at the guys who are good painters. What are they? Religious. Michelangelo, Raphael. It's just where great stuff comes from. There's no way around that. So if you say that you're an atheist, you're saying that life has no meaning. You're accepting atheistic Darwinism. You're saying that a person is just a talking monkey. Well, there's nothing inspiring about saying life is meaningless and people are just talking monkeys. What does that lead to? What creativity does that lead to? You say man is created in the image of God. You got, Michelangelo's The Creation of Adam. You got great stuff. Okay, here's a similar quote. So basically, religion holds the people together and inspires them to do great things. Once they lose their religion, they just become a bunch of, derelicts, decadent, and then another population comes in and kicks their ass and takes their country. That's how it works. It's been that way. It's been known since a long time. That's a standard theme of the Old Testament. Okay, Will Durant. "All Western civilization is dying because it has lost the religious basis of its moral code. We are living in the post-Christian era." So yeah, non-religious people, they're not creative. They basically stink compared to religious people in terms of their ability to generate beautiful art, music, literature, painting, sculpture, architecture. It's just a fact. Look around. The history of the world proves that a million times over. So either the West is going to have a Christian revival or it's going to go to atheistic slavery. I mean, there's no other option. It's so obvious. And the billionaire perverts want it to go to slavery because they will control it. Duh. Okay, Will Durant quote that goes with Artie Lang's quote. "Civilizations begin with religion and stoicism. They end with unbelief and undisciplined pursuit of individual pleasure. A civilization is born stoic and dies Epicurean." Okay, another quote by Artie Lang. Actually, this one's not that good. I'm going to skip it. Okay, now we're going to do Jack LaLanne. He lived from 1914 to 2011. He was the godfather of fitness. His mother was a Seventh-day Adventist. He won the Mr. America contest. And he said, "My dad died at 50 years of age." And I wondered, am I going to die at 50? "My dad ate all the junk food and he wouldn't exercise. Exercise is the king and nutrition is the queen. Put them together and you have got a kingdom." So I think that's pretty good and that's pretty too. Exercise, I actually think nutrition's the king and exercise is the queen. But nowadays life is more complicated because there's so many different institutions trying to poison us, okay? The dentist is going to poison you with amalgams, poison you with root canals, poison you with fluoride, okay? Subsidized processed foods poisoning you with the non-organic stuff, the glyphosate on the soy, the atrazine on the corn, and that's cheap sugar and cheap protein for all the processed foods. The MSG, MFG, manufactured free glutamate, monosodium glutamate, in all the processed food, the frying of the food, the emulsifiers, the preservatives, the fungicides, mitochondrial inhibitors. So what I'm saying is this old way of looking at things for Jack LaLanne was good in his day, but nowadays you need to filter your water and you need to avoid toxins. Try to eat organic or do some other things. Be very careful in your food choices because those toxins will bring you down. And like they say, dental will do you in. It's serious business. Okay, virtually everything we do in life is a matter of habit. Habits make us who we are. Why not change your habits to give you a better life? Okay, good advice. If man made it, don't eat it. Yeah, and he was a very charismatic speaker. I think Dr. McDougall has a nice interview of him, and you hear him talking where he's talking about his life. That was, I think, back when McDougall had I think it was a radio show rather than a TV show, but it's a really good interview with Jack LaLanne. Okay, my top priority in life is my workout. 12 to 17 minutes on the treadmill is plenty if it's done fast. That's all you need for cardiovascular benefit. Do it vigorously. Use the extra time to lift weights. Yeah, he did all kinds of things like swam the San Francisco Bay with a boat tied to himself, stuff like that. It's not what you do some of the time that counts. It's what you do all of the time that counts. Energy makes people beautiful. That's what charisma is. Well, actually, I think it makes people look good having energy, but charisma is a little different. Charisma is almost like, charming personality. They're happy to see you. I work out for 2 hours every day of my life. Daily exercise is a must. I eat at 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. Okay, that's Jack LaLanne, the great fitness guy. Just one quote from this guy, Thomas Lamott. Life is what happens to us while we are making our plans. And that's a good one. It's hard to be aware of things. You make mistakes because you're not aware of things. And we often don't have smart older friends or advisors to tell us not to do stupid stuff. Like I got an amalgam for a cavity when I was young, and I wish I didn't have done that. Then I got to deal with it. Everybody makes mistakes, so you try to learn as best you can and fix them. Alphonse de Lamartine. History teaches everything, even the future. And Napoleon had a good quote like that. History is the best thing to study. It's the real philosophy of life. And when you know the history, you can kind of predict how people are going to behave. The people only understand what they can feel. The only orators that can affect them are those who move them. Yeah, emotions like the most important thing in communication. The most effective coquetry is innocence. Yeah, that's a good one. That men, we're attracted to a woman if she's innocent because then we think she's more likely to be ours, so to speak. She's less likely to cheat on us. We can trust her. So it's a very good strategy for a woman is to give the appearance of innocence. Men like that. And I saw a funny video. It was on Alexander Grace. He's a really good dating coach guy. And he pointed out that women lie to other women. Like they tell a fat woman she looks good being fat. They'll tell a woman who's promiscuous, oh, it's okay to be promiscuous. And and they'll tell another woman, oh, your feminism is great. And what they're really doing, according to some of these theorists, is they're teaching the woman to make herself ugly. Because they know men hate women who are promiscuous. They're not attracted to women who are fat. And they don't like feminist women. So she's telling the other women to make themselves unattractive so she'll have easier pick of the men. I think that's funny. Men don't BS. Women BS a lot more than men. With a man, as far as you hang around men, if one guy is lying and BSing, all of the other men are like, screw you. We don't want you around. We can't deal with your bullshit, okay? We need to be straight with each other and tell the truth. So, but with women, it just comes natural, playing games and distorting things and always working it. Like, I always feel like when I'm with a guy, there's nothing going on. We agree, disagree. What do you think of this? What do you think of this? That's it. There's no secret agenda. Versus like when you're with a girlfriend or a wife, it's always like she's working on you. How can she get you into a better position? She can control you. How can she get more money out of you? How can she get you to do something? There's like very often always this game going on. It's different than a man talking to a man. Okay, Anne Lamott. She's a writer. She's born in 1954. She's pretty famous. She wrote a book called Bird by Bird, Instructions on Writing in Life. And I do like her. I think she's nice, but there's something a little bit pathetic about her. I mean, she's kind of messed up, and she's a little bit pathetic, a little bit too modern for me, but she does say some good things that I like, so I'll give her credit. Her father was a marijuana user, and he was a bit of a writer. She dropped out of college at 19 years old. She was an alcoholic for a while. And to me, it's like somebody who takes their gift from God to have a life and use it abusing drugs or alcohol. It's like, what's your philosophy of life that would lead you to that? So I don't admire a lot of these modern writers. I think they're a bunch of screw-ups, like James Joyce, an alcoholic. What is that? And I really am not that impressed, even though I like Great Gatsby. Fitzgerald being an alcoholic, he destroyed himself, and Hemingway, to some extent, destroyed himself too. He did great stuff early on. But, a good writer should be somebody who lives a life that inspires others, and sometimes, they're not going to be exactly the same in their books as they are in their own life, but still, they should have a sense of life that makes them knowledgeable, that they've learned from it, and they can express it in their work. Otherwise, why are you reading them if they don't have anything to say, Like, I think Virginia Woolf was like one of the worst. She's always trying to commit suicide. Like, well, why do I want to pay attention to what a crazy person who thinks life's not worth having wants to say? I mean, they're messed up. Okay, so anyways, here's Anne Lamott, a few of her quotes. I grew up around a father and mother who read every chance they got, who took us to the library every Thursday night to load up on books for the coming week. My father was a writer. Books were revered in our house, and the great writers above everyone else. One of the gifts of being a writer is it gives you an excuse to do things and to go places and to explore. Another risk of writing is that it motivates you, I don't know about a risk, it motivates you to look closely at life as it lurches by. Yeah, you have to be a close observer of things in order to write about them. I started writing parodies of the writers I loved. I read more than other kids. I luxuriated in books. Books were my refuge. I accepted being alone quite a lot. Yeah, usually people who develop good vocabulary spend a lot of time in their youth reading. And quite often they're very lonely, but that's a motivator to read. Good writing is about telling the truth. Now there's a good one. Good writer is usually somebody who's telling the truth. Telling the truth pisses other people off. So good writers are often truth tellers who are ostracized, censored, and shadow banned. That's just a fact of history. Okay. The only way I can get anything written is to write really shitty first drafts. Yeah, like Hemingway said that. Everybody knows that. I honestly think in order to be a writer, you have to learn to be reverent. If not, then why are you writing? Why are you here? To be a good writer, you not only have to write a great deal, but you have to care. That's also why I would say Christians are better writers. Because if you're an atheist and you think life has no meaning, then why write? What are you going to share with me? You want to share something meaningful with the reader. Well, if you think life has no meaning, how are you going to be inspired to write something meaningful if you don't think there is any meaning? So it's kind of self-evident that Christianity makes people more creative. It's like almost all the great novels are written by Christians. If you look at them, there's a few exceptions. I would say Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand, who wasn't officially a Christian, but I think she's kind of a closet Christian. I made a video about her not long ago about where I baptized her, kind of like Thomas Aquinas baptized Aristotle, because she loved all the Christian writers. Her favorite writers, Victor Hugo and Fyodor Dostoevsky. Her favorite novels, Quo Vadis by Henry Sienkiewicz. Okay, you have to believe in your position. You have to care, or nothing will drive your work. Truth wants expression. Your anger, the damage, the grief, your way to the truth. Yeah, when you're a little pissed off, you got more energy to write. My father wrote, "This is the great tragedy of California. For a life orientated to leisure is in the end a life orientated to death." Yeah, California actually used to be a great state. It was rich, and it was rich as a big country. But then it went lefty, and now it's a piece of crap, a third world crap hole. Annie Dillard has said that day by day, you have to give everything to the work in front of you, the best stuff you have. Don't save it for later projects. If you give freely, there will always be more. And I think that's a good quote, is that you'll have some idea and you say, well, this might go good in a future book. Like in my mind's eye, I've got like 3-4 books already planned after I finish the current one I'm on. But if I have a good idea, I just throw it into the book. Because if I don't, she's right, you lose it. That's just how it is. I like to make a drawing of a good idea because then I keep the drawing and maybe I'll have a use for that again someday. If you want to be a writer, you're going to have to give and give and give, and otherwise there's no reason for you to be writing. Yeah, you always have to say a little more than you're comfortable saying and take a chance of making a fool out of yourself, a jackass out of yourself, because if you don't, then you don't produce much. It's usually the best stuff is the stuff that's a little bit risky. It's going to piss off people. There are a lot of us who think literary life is the loveliest one possible. It's a lot of fun to read and come up with ideas and put them into a book or a video, but the problem is it's hard to make any money doing that. Very, very, very few people can make any significant amount of money doing that. And quite often the ones who do are scumbags who are just promoted because they're doing something bad. Okay. When I'm done for the day, I feel like I have something to show for it that you have written. The society we belong to seems to be dying or is already dead. I don't mean to be dramatic, but clearly the dark side is rising. Yeah, Christianity is fading and atheistic Darwinism is rising in America. And atheistic Darwinism wants to bring back slavery, turn America into a third world crap hole. And, it ain't over yet, but it's not going so well. Things have improved a bit since last year. They were a lot better than last year, but there's still a long way to go before America is what it could be. Right straight into the emotional center of things. Yep. Go for that stuff that is emotional. Right towards vulnerability. You have to risk being unliked. And I think that's true too. Because if you don't risk being unliked, everything you do is going to be generic conformist. It's going to stink. Good writing is about telling the truth. The truth seems to want expression. Your anger, your damage, and grief are all ways to the truth. Okay, let's see what's next. We're almost done here with Anne Lamott. Tell the truth as you understand it. If you're a writer, you have a moral obligation to do this. Now, here's a good line. The truth is always subversive. Yeah, think about it. If you lie in medicine, everybody's happy, you make money, but, the patient doesn't do well. If you tell the truth, you piss people off. That, low-fat vegan diet's better, for example, than, selling some expensive drug. Well, the establishment's not going to like that. But if you want to help the patient, you have to be that way. Okay, writing is about learning to pay attention, to communicate what's going on. We're all up to here in it, and probably the most important thing is that we do not yell at each other. Okay? The writer is the person who is standing apart. Writing is about becoming conscious, aware. When you're conscious and writing from a place of insight and simplicity and real caring about the truth, you have the ability to throw the lights on for the reader. He or she will recognize his or her life and truth in what you say, in the pictures you have painted, and this decreases the sense of isolation that we have all had too much of. Okay, well, that was a really nice quote about writing. Okay, hope begins in the dark, the stubborn hope that if you just show up and try to do the right thing, the dawn will come. You wait and watch and work. You don't give up. That's good too, and I can totally relate to that. That's the idea that basically, if you write a book, probably hardly anyone's going to see it. But you have something worthwhile to say that's true, that's good, that's right. So you say, I'm going to do it anyways and just take that chance. I'll accept the consequences. And when you get it all done, you're happy it's done. And you'd love to have more people look at it. But even if they don't, you're happy because it's done and you did it. And you did right. Okay, Anne Lamott. To be great, art has to point somewhere. Yeah, she's basically pointing towards Christianity. A lot of modernist people, they're afraid to say Christianity, but the reality is without Christianity, they don't have anything. Okay, gratitude is the secret to joy and equanimity. You're going to feel like hell if you never write the stuff that is tugging on your sleeve and your heart, your stories, visions, memories, songs, your truth, your version of things in your voice. That's really all you have to offer us, and it is the reason why you were born. Yeah, so, writing's nice. It's fun. It's just hard to make any money with it, and it takes a lot of time. But it's a very enjoyable thing. And I think all young people should spend a lot of time learning how to write and how to speak, because you're going to have to do those things all the time the rest of your life.